Hi everyone, I hope you're doing great today. Okay, so it's been a minute, I must admit, but it's all for good. Thanks be to God, and I hope you're good and I hope you're doing well. I hope all is well with you and yours. Okay, so it's been a while since I updated us on what is going on between Russia, Ukraine, NATO, US. I remember the last video that I posted. I tried my best to explain to us what was really happening prior to that time. Because before I made that video, what was in the news was the fact that Ukrainians were beating Russians silly and they were taking territories from Russians and killing them like flies, and the media was celebrating it and it was all over the place. And so many people on the Russian side were like, yes, yes, Putin, the weakling who came to fight Americans and NATO, who couldn't even beat ordinary Ukrainians. And it was all over the place. And you know, when I see stuff like that, and I immediately recognize that this is as a result of the evil lies that are being told to people on daily basis by the mainstream media. You know, forgive me, I don't hate people who work there, but I hate the mainstream media with a passion. You know why? Because they lie far, far better than the devil. The level of lying that oozes out of the mainstream media is no longer, to me, just lying. It is a mind control programming. You don't know that if you tell a lie frequently, tell it as often as possible, you use that lie to mind control someone, because now you turn that person into a zombie who believes that your lie is now the truth. That's why we have too many people who are victims of the mainstream media lying. Those guys now have been weaponized against those who bear the truth. That's why when people like us tell them this is what is happening, this is the truth, they turn on us, they curse us out, they hate on us, they call us names, they call us conspiracy theorists, because this is what has been fed. You know, a zombie does not have the ability to think objectively or think for himself or herself. This is what these people are doing to the masses. And so the few who have the truth are having a hard time driving it home. Why would they make people believe that Ukraine and a few NATO forces with them and some Americans fighting can defeat a world superpower like Russia? How? And people have actually bought into that. They believe that. First of all, they made people believe that Russia just invaded Ukraine without any cause. No reporting on what has been happening in Donbass and Lugansk since 2014. No single reporting on that. Nobody knows what has happened to those people. They just say Russia woke up and boom, entered into Ukraine. Mainstream media. It's why I made a video when the war started. Before the war started, I made a video to warn you that this war is about to happen. After making my Twitter post to tell people to get away from Ukraine, I made a video to say the war will happen, but I'm making this video to show you who is firing the first shot, because I know that they won't let you know. But when Russia reacts to this first shot, they're going to tell you that Russia just invaded Ukraine. That's exactly what happened. And many people still believe today, erroneously, that Russia just woke up unprovoked and invaded Ukraine. They've been lying to you the whole time. So they've been telling you also that Russia has run out of weapons. They've been telling you that Russia does not have what it takes to withstand Ukrainians, let alone NATO and the USA. They tell you that Russian weapons are outdated. But Russia has laser weapons that you don't have anywhere in the West, that they use to confuse and destroy satellite systems. So when they want to move important equipment, military equipment within Russia, they raise it up. There was even one that happened near Belgorod. That laser thing went up, and that was when they said the Russians were moving very important arsenals that they have. And nobody in the West has been able to make anything like that. Russia actually does have a lot of weapons that people on the other side don't have. And I'm not saying that that's the only thing that happened. The other people actually have something I believe maybe Russia doesn't have. But Russia has a lot of high-tech weapons. But nobody will tell you that. They've made Russia look like a child that has come to fight with a giant. They belittle a superpower. They fought wars and still survived. And people believed all these lies. So when they started celebrating Ukrainian conquest and Ukrainian advancement and counteroffensive, I said, here they go again. I decided to make a video. I thought it was needed for people who are being destroyed, whose brains are being damaged with the lies. I made the video for them to see that there was something that led to Russia pulling back to the point that Russians sent the Chechens that were fighting on the side of Russia, send them home because of the so-called agreement that was brokered by United Nations and Turkey. I explained in that video. Russia felt, okay, there is some type of veiled ceasefire, so maybe we can just relax a little bit. And so they sent the Chechens home. They sent most of their fighting men home and left just a few handful at the front. I said, take over this land that we have taken from Ukraine. They had not even annexed the regions. They had not even had any referendum. They had not said this place now belongs to the Russian Federation. No, it's just a war booty. They just conquered the place and left their soldiers there. But while they were relaxing and opening the waterways for Ukraine to ship their grains that have not been shipped since the war started, while they were relaxing and sending their fighters home, Ukraine and the NATO allies went and regrouped and mustered a lot of fighting men and launched a surprise attack on Russia and killed Russian soldiers and took over territories. And the media was on standby to do a serious PR to tell the whole world that Ukrainians are heroes. We told you that Russia is weak. We told you Russia is no match of the US. They are fake superpowers. And the whole PR went on for several weeks. Ukrainians were being hailed all across the mainstream media spectrum. And I watched all this thing with disdain because I knew that this was a provocation that would not go unanswered. And true, Russia now decided, you know what? I've had enough of it. If you watch the way Russia has fought the whole time, they have been trying to minimize casualty. I have said this repeatedly in video after video after video. They've been trying to minimize casualty because Russia knows that their destiny with Ukraine is like this, intertwined. Russian history is not complete without Ukraine. Russia and Ukraine are from the same place. They are the same people. So Putin knew quite all right that killing people in Ukraine is like killing his own people. These guys will provoke. He will take it easy. But the Russian population have been asking him, you need to stop this your kid glove treatment. These guys mean business. Look at the way they kill us. Every opportunity they have, they kill us. Stop calling it a limited military operation. Go for the kill. Putin refused. But after this one happened, this was one of the most daring, provocative acts ever meted out to Vladimir Putin. It was one of the most humiliating provocations he ever had since the war started in February. And so when this happened, you know what Putin did? Putin now decided, you know what? It's about time. We're going to have to go for the full war. And so he decided to mobilize. The moment he called for mobilization, guess what? The mainstream media took it, blew it out of proportion. And they started saying, we told you, the guy is weak. The soldiers are depleted. The weapons are depleted. They don't have anything. Look, he's calling for ordinary civilians to come and fight. But the guy said, we want people with military experience to come. If you are a civilian, you want to join, that's fine. We are going to give you the same treatment we give to soldiers. The same benefits they get is what you're going to get. And guess what? They were calling these guys not for them to necessarily go to the battlefront, but to replace the guys who are going to go to the battlefront, because the war is now going to be an expanded war. The mainstream media never said a word of that. They know it, but they will deceive the people and give them false hope. Everything about them lies, lies, lies upon lies. And so Russia said, okay, we're going to do what we have to do. And they started mobilizing. As they were mobilizing, they were calling the Chechens to come back. 10,000 Chechens that conquered Mariupol had gone home. They are back now. As they were coming back, it wasn't just the 10,000 that were coming back. It was about 8 times 10 coming back. That's when you know that Russia is now meaning business and ready for an all-out war, which in any way you look at it is most likely potentially going to turn out to be a nuclear war. And so I saw videos from my intelligence sources, videos of massive movement of weapons, tanks, rocket-propelled grenades, all kinds of stuff moving towards Kherson. So those regions that Russia went to annex, you know why Russia went to quickly annex those regions? Because of the provocation of Ukraine. Russia now says, since you won the war, especially you NATO, not even Ukraine, because Russia had always been aware that NATO and the US are the ones fighting them. So they said, okay, now we're going to teach you how to fight this war. So the first thing he did, he made sure that there was referenda in Kherson, in Zaporizhia, and in the other region in Donetsk. So when they did this referenda in these regions, Russia went and ratified it, Putin signed, and those regions became technically part of the Russian Federation. Then what did he do? I said this in the other video. He now decided, okay, let's begin to send weapons and men to those regions that we have already now annexed and made Russian Federation. He began to, I have videos from my intelligence sources where weapons were being sent, tanks and all kinds of weapons being sent to Kherson that had just been recently annexed from Ukraine. Weapons were being sent to other places. Men were being sent to those fronts. Why were they sending them there? Because Russia wants to move the war closer to the Ukrainians, since they say they want to fight. And when he had done all of that, the next thing we heard from the news was that Belarus has now decided that they're going to step into the war. They will become parties to the war. Remember, NATO, all the NATO member nations have openly sent weapons to Ukraine. They have sent technical know-how to Ukraine. They have sent money to Ukraine. They have sent all kinds of motivation to Ukraine. There is nothing they have not sent to Ukraine to kill Russians. Clearly, openly, America is even at the top. When they send, they put it in the news, they will explain how much they've sent, what they have sent, what it will do, and they will put it there. And Russia had always known that, look, we are at war with NATO, but it was like a proxy war. But then this proxy war is becoming more not like a proxy war, it's becoming more like an open, direct war. And eventually, it turned out that nothing was going to be hidden about the fact that Russia is not just fighting Ukrainians, but fighting NATO military in Ukraine. How did we finally come to that conclusion? Jens Stoltenberg, the NATO chief, said that if Russia is allowed to win in Ukraine, it will be a loss to NATO. and that NATO should not allow that to happen. Now, where are all those people who called us conspiracy theorists when we told you that NATO and the US are on ground fighting Russia in Ukraine? The Ukrainians are not born yet to face a superpower like Russia. Everything you see on ground, they just use that as a cover. The guys have been captured in Russian prisons. Prisoners of war who are from the UK, from different NATO nations, who are Americans fighting on the ground. You see it in the media, and yet you don't want to believe because of the media mind control. NATO had always known, so Jens Stoltenberg just made it clear to him that, look, if Russia is allowed to win in Ukraine, we are the ones who lost. Why? Because we are the ones actually fighting. That's why the whole world was like, oh my gosh, he said it, he said it. I'm like, okay, he didn't have to say we've always known, but he said it anyway. If he wins, we lost, because we are the ones that are warring with him. And so Russian officials now started coming out saying, well, we have always known that NATO is on ground fighting us in Ukraine because Zelensky decided to sacrifice Ukraine for this purpose. But the truth of the matter is that NATO cannot stop Russians from achieving their military aim in Ukraine. That was clearly stated by the government spokesman from Russia. You see what I'm talking about? It will not stop them from achieving their military aim in Ukraine. They knew that NATO was fighting. So now that it's become obvious that all the NATO nations are together, mustering forces, they have their military lined up by the border with Russia. Every border town they have with Russia, they have that place beefed up with military men and weapons. And what did Russia do? Russia now decided, you know what, all the treaty that Russia had ever signed with whatever nation on earth, especially the ones in the BRICS alliance, all of them, they began to trigger all those treaties. They began to trigger all of them. Plus the one he has with Iran. And if you read the Bible, even though I'm going to have to make a different video to explain this, if you read the Bible very well, you know where the Bible is talking about the war of Gog and Magog. The king of the north is Russia. Russia is going to come with these Muslim nations, Iran and the rest of them. They are going to fight alongside Russia against the West. They are going to fight with China against the West.